All right, my friends. Well, what's going on here? Sometimes we want something tangible, and we fucking run out of the house, and fucking want to grasp it almost with our teeth. Is this consent? Perhaps not. Um, many people think of the word dharma as connoting a certain ideology or teachings, when in fact, dharma, the ultimate definition of dharma is things as they are, as is, things as they are. And so, of course, Brian and I, we know this. We have known this forever, even if we couldn't articulate it before. And it's everywhere. It's on this dumb stream. It's on your mother's vile face. It's anywhere, and you can touch it by touching nothing. You can expand your hand out there, but not on public transit and literally, because then we again run into the issue of what people actually want touching them. So that's about it. We're gonna conclude the stream here. Thank you, Brian, for joining us.
You're welcome.
All right. So, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Doing fine. Recently, I have fulfilled my duty as a citizen. I've went over here to the local, whatever the fuck it is, government center next to the sheriff's office, and frankly, I cast my ballot. Predictably, Grandpa and Mrs. Harris appeared on my screen, and I took my fucking blunt instrument that they gave me and marked it next to these guys. I wasn't super excited to do it. Then I went down the line. I got my Democratic ballot here, sample ballot, and just voted for these guys. John Hamilton, no fucking idea who he is. Chuck Horn, sounds like a porn star's name. I'm sure, for state rep, why not? Jennifer Brunner for Supreme Court Justice. Just went the party line. It's pretty much what happened. Actually, when I was handed out this ballot, um, they're always surprised because I come to vote there, and they're like, Democratic ballot, and I come over there, and I'm like, can I have, well, and they're like, Democratic ballot. But anyway, because I live in a very conservative area, and most of the white dudes are going to be Republicans, so they're always like super stoked that a white male would snatch a Democratic ballot for himself, sample ballot. So, have you voted yet?
Yeah, I just did my mail-in ballot here in Massachusetts, and paper ballot. You fill in little circles.
Yeah.
Little scantron. And yeah, I mean, not feeling great about it, but it is what it is. It's one of those. Yeah. Unfortunately, can't I find voting for Trump morally abhorrent? I'm not sure how anyone could do that. Still, some people say they don't agree with him, and they're still voting for him. I don't. They don't have hate in their heart, but they support hate. I guess that's just their thing. And the Biden people, Biden's going to win this state very easily. And I didn't feel compelled to vote for him, so I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Didn't contribute to Grandpa's glory in Massachusetts.
I'm afraid not. No, I can't bring myself to do it. So.
Recently, I read an article in the New York Times where they were intent on showing that Grandpa was in fact not a leftist radical like Trump accused him of, which was not difficult because Biden didn't do shit during like the civil rights era, but he did have one thing that he did do, And this was when he was sitting at a diner. His black friend came over to the counter, and they refused to serve him. And
Oh,
and Biden said no, and he walked out. And that's the only thing that they found of his like activities.
amazing. That's incredible. The paradigm continues to shift rightward in just an uncontrolled pace.
Yeah, I mean, what a start! He could have fucking finished his sandwich, and that's they said multiple people saw this, but did he take his food with him?
Yeah, you're halfway through a grand slam and your black buddy shows up and you're just like, nah, I'm good,
Yeah.
No
I think
thanks.
Biden fucking grabbed it. He was like, "What kind of shit is this? I already paid for this."
I'm already done. I'm gonna take care of the bill right now,
Yeah. Yeah. So that's
rough.
yeah. Yeah. So the other sort of the other thing I've noticed to my disappointment at this polling station was the strange presence of young honeys. For a single man like myself, the one sort of a luxury the state of Ohio provides you with is not seeing attractive women hardly ever. I am already tortured when I go to the town of Oxford, Ohio, where there's Miami University, where recently, frankly, I wish women there would just wear a burqa. But
See, just curb the temptation there. Yeah.
yeah, there is actually no temptation. There's just complete defeat with some sparks of like sexual excitement or some sort of something that I resent. And it's like women always say, like, we don't wear like booty shorts or whatever to be attractive to men. And yet, what do I see in this cold weather everywhere? I wish I didn't see it. So anyway, here at the polling station, I was also like tortured by attractive women. Like it's much like me receiving the Democratic ballot over there, as much as they're shocked by this, as much as I was shocked to see honeys there, and I wish I didn't, because now it like embedded in my mind.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah. The sense objects, of this life, they're very alluring.
Yeah, that's why we live in the realm of desire, according to Buddhist cosmology. So the other, of course, thing that we have gone through is the president experiencing the Wuhan virus. From what I understand, a couple of giant bats, flew out of some fucking forest and just descended on him and just shut all over his face. And that's how it went down. So let's say, Brian, that you were sitting in your living room and a buddy would pop in and he'd say, I'd wish that motherfucker would just die of this. Sure. And yeah, and how many ponies of moral outrage would you give the situation? Like, and of course we can't forget the tailless.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of moral outrage that I would have at him suggesting that the president should die, unfortunately, of COVID.
Correct. Yeah.
I would say two ponies, solid two, but no more. No tailless involved there.
So I mean, would you be disgusted?
I understand the frustration, but I don't really wish death or suffering on other people, even terrible, figureheads of state.
Yeah, like I basically agree. And the way I thought about it is that like Trump has a lot of issues with empathy. The only time I remember hearing about his empathy for other people is when Assad gassed a bunch of people and there were children there. And Trump launched retaliatory strikes because Ivanka showed him some pictures of dead babies. And he's like, oh, these babies, this is so sad. So that's the one thing I've ever heard him. But aside from that, he does seem to care about his douchebag children. Well, I mean, aside from Ivanka, who's hot, but he seems to care about his family. Well, the ones that he produced, at least, not his brother, who he only visited for like 40 minutes as he was dying. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, there is a small circle where he can be somewhat of a human being there. So
Oh, I mean, I actually feel that Trump is the most genuine American president that has been in our lifetimes, other than Reagan. I mean, I feel like Reagan was a very genuine article, and with Trump, his lies are apparent. His narcissism is apparent. I mean, all of these things are clear and obvious, and we're not really being given a pitch. There's not really a sales pitch there. He just kind of is this being. And
he is kind of the sales pitch. Like him, there's not non-duality. He just becomes it.
yeah, but I feel like there are others kind of like Mike Pence, for example. He truly terrifies me, Mike Pence, because I feel like Pence is a little bit more slick and not willing to do outright lies that are apparent. I think he is more of a withholder. And I think that someone like Pence would much more easily kind of rule that office with an iron fist rather than have dissent among the ranks.
The one thing about Mike Pence that makes him an American original is that he calls his wife mother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that a while ago. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a strange dichotomy there to set up in the bedroom.
Very Freudian. Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like there's really nothing to say about this. So like there is no way to process this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's move on, therefore. So the other thing, of course, that's going on is packing the court. So sometimes, it is hypothetically possible that this stream was watched by people from outside the United States. And therefore, sometimes I feel compelled to explain things, even though sometimes I get scolded and spanked for explaining obvious things. But basically, I'll just go ahead and do it. The Constitution doesn't specify the number of people who should be on the Supreme Court. There is a law that currently limits them at 9 since the 19th century, I think. Since then, the Supreme Court started blocking a lot of things Franklin Delano Roosevelt was doing, his kind of expansion of the welfare state, the New Deal. And he wanted to pack the court to increase the number to 15 with his own nominations. That didn't happen. He was blocked at the time by conservative Democrats. But nevertheless, he later was able to appoint his people on the court. As things progressed in the 1960s, Dwight Eisenhower, well, that was in the 1950s, but he appointed Earl Warren, a liberal Republican, former governor of California, to be the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. And Earl Warren then proceeded to go on a spree of liberal decisions. And that's basically where the fight over the court began, because from the conservative point of view, Earl Warren was like a crazy activist judge. And the whole fucking debate here is over so-called originalists who say that the Constitution should be interpreted as basically almost as the founding fathers did. And it cannot expand liberties beyond that which was outlined. You need to pass laws and fucking constitutional amendments to do that. And then you have the liberals who who believe in interpreting the Constitution in a contemporary way. And that's the whole fucking thing. And now it's just became a political institution. And so now this new lady who's pretty hot and whose name I forget would sort of shift it toward a conservative majority. And the Democrats now talk about expanding the court by 2, I guess, to kind of have fucking control, well, have their people on the court. So that's basically what's up. Brian, how are we feeling about this? What is your sort of what does your heart tell you about packing the court?
Of the supposed Democratic, party plans to load the court with more justices. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
So long as they have the government to do it, I think that they should be able to do what they want. I don't know if this is a realistic thing. I mean, from just a person who has been dissatisfied with the Supreme Court for many years, like it's not really it's whatever. You're going to load it up with people who are conservative for everything but all civil rights, and is that it? I mean, corporate personhood was I don't know Ginsburg's vote on corporate personhood, but corporations were granted personhood by the Supreme Court. I think that's just insane.
I believe that they do have personhood because one of them kind of gave me a hand job one time.
A corporation gave you a hand job?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a long story.
I feel like this is worthy of being told.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very convoluted. Hearing weird things from your mic. Kind of like up, gone.
I have no idea what that was.
Yeah, it sounded
like knocking.
Yeah, it sounded like an old motorcycle, sort of, kind of humming along. Yeah. I mean, I only sort of support the expansion of the Supreme Court if the Democrats nominate like teenage rapists like Kavanaugh.
There you have it.
Yeah. Basically, like I have a conservative temperament about this kind of shit. So I just think if they start expanding that, if they start expanding it, then fucking the Republicans naturally are gonna pile on. So it's just gonna be soon. There's gonna be like people doing the Irish River dance or whatever. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of justices. So I don't know. I don't know what to say. Purely on a personal level, I find Judge Barrett to be very attractive. And I feel like, how you have a girl in high school you never interact with, but there's a sense that you could watch TV together and just get along. So that's pretty much how I feel about her. So she can't be that bad,
Gotcha.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah. So the other thing that I've been kind of continuing to do is my sort of internet dating activities, and I got a new app called Hinge because somebody recommended it in the comments. Are you familiar with it?
No, I'm married, so I'm not really familiar with dating apps.
Yeah. I really wasn't either, and I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing because I don't really feel a certain thirst for a relationship or anything. I think it just basically has to do with my age and just the sense that I guess I need a partner rather than pacing around in circles. But it's a very abstract thing, and really, like now with Hinge, there is a kind of a new idea where people can show a few pictures and answer a few questions, and then if you're interested in initiating contact with them, you would like a picture or one of their answers, and then write a few lines about it, and it's like limited how much you can say, and then it goes out to them. So that's basically the whole idea. And because I was confronted there with complete banality, um, like the only thing I can now think of writing has to do with like wrestling bears. So, so she would write something like, I could, you know, like, what's the weird thing about you? So that would be the generic question they provide you with that you can choose. And then she would say, I can touch my nose with my tongue or something. And then I would write, um, a lot of ferocious bears would touch their tongue to my face, um, because I have wrestled with them for uh, my whole life. And then I would say, step one, don't look the beast in the eye. Step two, grab them by the fur. And then step three, get mauled. And then I would put a bear emoji at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that getting responses?
That's doing nothing, because I'm sure because then they could go to my own profile from there, where there's a lot to respond to as far as my blatant flaunting of my mental illness and the fact that I live with my parents again. So between these two factors, I've only interacted with like two ladies on there. But I don't have any other strategy. But then, perhaps as a married man, you can offer me a bit of advice on this.
Sure.
Yes. So let's see. Let's pull up a profile here. All right. So I'm obviously not gonna show any pictures here. But here's the question. So yeah, how would you respond to this if you wanted to initiate contact? All right. If loving this is wrong, I don't want to be right. Okay. If loving this is wrong, I don't want to be right. Her answer: Mexican food. Anything? Should we review more questions?
But what kind of Mexican food?
That's how she put.
There are many different kinds of Mexican food.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
I mean, you could ask that question.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Would never occur to me, actually, because I never think about Mexican food.
Gotcha.
But good idea. Good idea.
I grew up on the border, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are revelations that would never occur to me. So, so this another one she has here is the award I should be nominated for, and her answer is most excitable / most clumsy. So, do you have anything here, Brian, that I can shoot over to this lady?
I mean, clumsy can be cute, It's just, does she have enough coordination to not be clumsy with the meat? This is turning very perverted very fast.
Yeah. Okay, but do you have something that sort of would even? I think what you offered there would do worse than wrestling bears. But
okay,
do you have?
I see what you're saying. Yes. In that case, no. I'm drawing a blank on that one. Was this like a top choice?
Well, this is her second question.
Are there thigh tattoos involved? Because if there's no thigh tattoo, maybe you just want to pass.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's no kind of fur references to fur here, so that's good. She writes, this is the last one. I take pride in getting banned from speed dating for life. So here, I mean, this you could say why, but does she want to answer this question? Because I'm sure this is all the messages she receives.
Mm-hmm. getting banned from speed dating for life. You could say that, you were banned from your local Applebee's for trying to initiate speed dating with all of the women who were sitting by themselves.
I think that sexually would be a good one. I think that's funny. So let's kind of do one last one. So let's see. I mean, this one isn't that interesting. I geek out. I geek out on ER or Star Trek. So fuck that one. Then it's like something about
No Star Trek. No Star Trek for you. No.
No, nothing.
Love Star Trek. Love it.
It's one of those things. I mean, this one is actually attractive. So it's one of these traps where I'm not sure that if you geek out on Star Trek, whether this would be an asset to her.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be a very testing answer there to see. It's like, oh, he likes Star Trek. No, not doing that.
Yeah. So here's the last one I'll mention. So here she says, my most irrational fear, low heights. I think I'm the only one. Doesn't prevent me from climbing too many ladders, though. I think low heights. I think I'm the only one, but there's no period there. Doesn't prevent me from climbing too many ladders, though. So is this something that she put a lot of thought into? There's no period, and yet one is now has to respond.
Mm-hmm. Low heights, like a curb or something like that,
I guess like big heights don't scare this lady, but like low heights, like a ladder.
Low heights. Yeah. I really got nothing on that one, but it's okay because she's trying,
Well, that's not how we look at this. That's not how we look at it. It's okay, she's trying.
It's okay, she's trying. She tried. She tried.
Yeah.
You could say, I'll always hold your hand as we step over the low heights of life,
Yeah. All right, excellent. Well, I mean, I think these were great ideas. Of course, well, the important thing, another important thing to mention here in my personal life is recently I went to Aldi's. Do you have Aldi's in Massachusetts?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've never been. Oh.
They have one. It's a very weird place. As some people say, it's a place where Germans won the war. Yeah. No, I was just kidding.
There's so many things that I can interpret from that. It's terrifying.
They do impose certain rules on you, and one of them is that in order to take a card, you have to pay a quarter, and then when you put the card back, you get the quarter back naturally. And it seems counterintuitive because when people have cards, they might be more psychologically inclined to put more shit in there. But not at all.
More cards, like multiple cards?
Well, no, if you just have a card with you, as opposed to like walking around with a bag or some shit, which is what you're supposed to do there, unless you have a quarter. Yeah, like if you have a card, you're just going to put more stuff in there, I think. But you have to, it seems like very controlling because it's like, what the fuck, are these cards really that difficult to put back for the workers there? Because, I mean, it's a tiny fucking store.
I thought the idea, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought the idea was that you putting your own cart back was what they saved money on. So they didn't have to hire someone to go put the carts back.
Yeah, but I just wonder if they really need to hire anybody. Because
people put their own carts back? Like, I used to always put my own cart back, and I still try my best. But with a small...
I mean, you don't
With
need a
a,
fucking yeah.
with a
But
small child, sometimes it's not possible.
hmm.
Yeah.
I never thought about it this way. But yeah, I mean, but especially since it's such a fucking small store, like it. If
Mhm.
it's a huge store like Walmart, I mean, of course, Walmart's not going to do it because whatever, they just fucking like to have slave labor. But I
Yes.
understand the logic of that. It's like, okay, you want your quarterback, fucking walk over there, unload your groceries, whatever, your fentanyl, and just bring this cart back to its origin.
Mhm.
Um, whereas the
Just put your
fucking
car back.
Aldi, yeah, like the Saudis is like a pet store. It's the size of a pet
Yeah.
store.
Right. It's gonna like a Trader Joe's. Like the carts are just right. You just pull up and you take your car right back, and it's done.
Yeah, like very controlling, very almost
Well,
like
I mean, I'm a firm believer in the cart karma. You know,
Mm,
and the cart karma dictates that you should always put your cart back, because if you unleash that cart into the wild, you're responsible for the implications that all the implications that can occur from leaving a cart just stray in the parking lot. If the wind blows really hard and that cart crashes into a car, well, that's on your karmic debt.
mm.
So you should always try to take it back, because the worker's job isn't really to gather the carts from the parking lot. The worker's job is to take, bust the carts from the cart. They call them carriages here, from the carriage holder
Really? They
into.
call carriages in Massachusetts?
It's just a towny thing.
Oh,
I mean, people from Massachusetts are going to be offended that I call them all townies, but they are. I
yeah.
mean,
That's fucking this.
that's a townie. That's somebody from fucking Charleston.
Yeah. Ooh. Well, that really shocked me. And I know like the soda and pop, like that
Yeah.
I know. But like that shit I
Well, yeah.
never.
You're in the Midwest, so
Yeah.
the soda pop division is it's a war that's still being fought.
Yeah.
If you're down south, if you're in the South, it's Coke. I mean, it's not soda or pop. It's just, can
Yeah.
I get a Coke? All right.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of Coke do you want? You want
Sprite.
Pepsi? You want Diet? Do you want Diet Pepsi? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's
Yeah. I
tricky.
mean, that's all right. So like from this important discussion um about fucking Aldi's, let's move on to another place of tension. And that is, of course, something that I'm sure all of my viewers right now want to know. And that's about the conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia. So let me see. Let me pull up the map here. Um, okay, that's. All right, my friends. Let's see. This is the kind of shit I don't do. Can you see my mouse,
Yes.
Brian? Okay.
Yes.
All right, my friends. So the first thing that we'll begin with actually is the fact that when I was born, all of this these were my homies, these were my bros, because I was born in the country that was destroyed by Christ killers and Masons, the great Soviet Union. And Armenia and Azerbaijan, we were actually one country. These were the Soviet republics. However, one of the things that people don't think about, many people don't at least, about the collapse of the Soviet Union is that it unleashed thousands of deaths because all the ethnic groups that were contained um, within the Soviet Union started killing each other, even though they were just a few months before or a few years ago, they were citizens of the same country. So here we have Armenia, and here we have Azerbaijan, but also paradoxically, we also have Azerbaijan here, separated from the rest of Azerbaijan. Armenia is a Christian country, Azerbaijan is a Muslim country. And this area here is has a predominantly Armenian population. So once the Soviet Union fell apart, they started unfortunately killing each other. So there was a kind of a pogrom in Azerbaijan against Armenians, and then there was a pogrom within Armenia against Azeris, and a kind of a ethnic migration began between the two. And in this territory, they actually went to war in the early 90s. I believe it was concluded in 1994 with Russia mediating. And so what it ended up as is Armenia controlled all of this thing, even though I believe it's internationally recognized as Azerbaijan. Or maybe like this part isn't. Well, anyway, so Armenia controls all of this, and recently the president of Azerbaijan started a war to take over some of this territory. And this is where we find ourselves today. So the interesting thing about this is like, where did this shit came about? Like, how did this happen? And guess who was too lazy to look this shit up on Wikipedia? But one thing is like here, Georgia is the homeland of one kind of infamous character, and that's Joseph Stalin. So Joseph Stalin didn't actually enter what is today Russia until his 30s, and always spoke with a very crude Russian accent. Um, so Georgia is a completely different country from Russia. But anyway, so perhaps because they have all these beefs here in the Caucasus, perhaps Stalin decided to do a little divide and conquer here by giving like a territory with predominantly Armenian population to Azerbaijan, because all of these borders, well, not with Iran or Turkey, but all these borders with Georgia and Russia, all of them were just fucking drawn by Stalin. Like this is all of this is drawn by Stalin, and so now there is an interesting situation here because Russia is an ally of Armenia. They have a mutual defense treaty, and Azerbaijan is an ally of Turkey. They have a mutual defense treaty. Turkey is a member of NATO. So, yeah, so basically, I mean, Russia is playing a game right now where it's like being very sort of temperamental with Armenia, where they're like, oh, because in Armenia, like a pro-Western government came to power, and Russia wants to kind of use this opportunity to spank it a little. It's like, look how much you need us, type of a thing. Even though this government is not at all anti-Russian, it's just kind of trying to play both sides. So yeah, so there's could be, but in the end, Russia is not going to allow Azerbaijan as a proxy of Turkey to control this area, which is Nagorno-Karabakh. And then Iran has a beef with Turkey because of Syria and other things. So even though it's a Muslim country, it also supports Armenia. Russia activated its Caspian fleet and started war games here to wave its dick a little bit. So that's what's up. It's going on right now. Hundreds of people are dying. I think perhaps thousands already. So yeah, that's that.
All of these were behind the Iron Curtain. All of these sections that are highlighted.
Yeah, Azerbaijan, Armenia, Georgia, Russia. Yeah, these were all Soviet republics.
Before Stalin drew the borders, what was this? What was this area?
Before that, it was the Russian Empire. So actually, like Georgia and Armenia, they're Christian. So they have an ambiguous situation with the Russian Empire because they don't want to be a part of the Ottoman Empire, Muslim Empire. So they weren't necessarily like, I mean, they had an ambiguous, sometimes they were for it and saw it as an ally. But Turkey, of course, committed genocide against Armenians because of their perceived alliance with Russia. So Armenians especially hate Turkey and Azerbaijan. And to make another thing, to point out another interesting thing is here there's a blue line, and it says, of course, the pipeline, and it actually goes to Western Europe. Well, that's where they want it to go. I don't know if it's completed, because Western Europe wants to be separated from Russian dependence on Russian fuel. So this is another interesting thing, and Azerbaijan might just shut it off for safety. So yeah, that's those are the things that are going on.
Very interesting post-Soviet geopolitics unfolding there in the Caucasus.
Yeah, it's a huge mess. I mean, if things go in the wrong, well, I mean, Turkey and Russia hypothetically, if things escalate, could go to war, but it's probably going to be like a proxy war. And Turkey, of course, is a NATO ally.
Okay, is Turkey part of the EU or no? Were they just a candidate state?
Yeah, they were trying to get in. I don't know if they still are.
Interesting. Power plays by boss Putin.
Yeah, Putin is playing kind of a clever game where he doesn't openly like support Armenia as much as he could, and he did this with Belarus also when there were protests against the president there because they had some beef. He also said, the protesters have some point, but at the same time, he was fully ready to send Russian troops in to protect the dictator there. But he was also kind of playing cute, and he's playing cute with Armenia. But I doubt that they would want Azerbaijan to control that as a proxy of Turkey.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
I know nothing about the geopolitical situation of the post-Soviet Caucasus or anything like that.
Yeah, and it's interesting also like why he started this war. So this is the president of Azerbaijan with his daughter, who's a babe. Kind of looks like. But basically, before him, his father was the president. So, I mean, for over 20 years now, his family ruled Azerbaijan. And probably he started the war because he's just unpopular. Maybe he was afraid of the revolution against him. And he started some shit to drive up nationalism. I don't know what other reason he would have.
So right now there's ethnic cleansing happening in on both sides. Is that right?
Right now they're fighting over that territory, and I think it's pretty segregated now. So they're just killing each other. They're fighting each other with drones and stuff like that. So Armenia is really waiting for that Russian support.
Does the U.S. have a proxy in the area that it would funnel forces through?
Well, I don't know what the U.S. position. I mean, I'm sure that they're pro pipeline. Every Western power wants that pipeline to weaken Russian power. But as far as I'm sure Trump doesn't want to interfere. But
if you're indebted to the richest men in the world, you can't touch that.
Right. Yeah, so that's kind of a little summary of what's going on there.
Interesting games by Putin there.
Yeah, that's what Russia has been doing for centuries, sneaking around. But sometimes that sneaking doesn't work. So, are you interested in? Yes. Are you interested in watching a very stupid video about a lady talking about having sex with Bill Maher?
Sure, totally. Yeah. Let's do this.
Yeah. All right, so this is the dumbest video I've seen on YouTube, and that's not an exaggeration because at least like Stefan Molyneux gets money for this bullshit, and the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But the other thing I want to say, like, I don't know about the copyright status of this, so I might have to shut it down if the stream starts giving me shit about it. But anyway, right here it is. Oh, another thing is, like, sometimes it comes off as very not very loud, but I don't know what to do about it, so I do apologize if it's not very loud.
Welcome to Drinking Bros, presented by GhostBed.com.
Listen, let me just tell the story first before I tell it.
Tell the story first.
Okay, so this is how I got hooked up with him. Some porn star hit me up. Apparently, he likes this. I'm probably gonna give it away. Black girls.
Yeah. Look, Bill Maher. Bill Maher
Oh
loves
my
black
God!
girls. Is it Bill Maher?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, but he's not a politician.
She said he had a political show.
Okay, so he's got a political show. I tell you what, to make you feel even more comfortable, then, right? I've been a Hollywood dude for a long time. Bill Maher, I feel, and this is totally genuine, I feel his whole position and his whole shit as a comedian for the last 20 years is just to have been impressed black girls. That's it. So, like, he's been out to dinner with
Chris Steffens.
Yeah.
So I don't. He was really, like, weird though.
Bill Maher? Well, he's older. You know that, right? Like, he's in his 60s, and it's like,
Well,
hey.
Yeah, he's older. Do you fucking know that? Yeah, she's like, whatever. Did you know that he's in his 60s?
Liked him. So I started to lie to everybody about my age. So, like, when I went there, I was 18, and he was like, "How old are you?" I was like, "I'm 22." He was like, "Well, when did you graduate high school?" I couldn't think of the math in my head, so I just said something. He was like, "Well, sweetie, that would mean you're this old." And so I was like, "Fuck." He was like, "So you're lying to me. I don't like liars." So he got real serious, and then he started asking me other questions.
Really?
About because I was getting money.
I couldn't do the math. Like, add 4, to when you
wait. She didn't know when she graduated high school.
Well, she was pretending she was older, and he asked her a trick question of when she graduated high school, and she couldn't do the math.
Oh, because she was overtly trying. She was trying to lie, but she wasn't successful in trying to do the math real quick. Gotcha.
Yeah, and kind of he knows who he's dealing with there.
What the fuck is this format?
See, no, actually, I'm an idiot. It's sad for, right? 18, right? 22.
Well, you would subtract 4 from your current age if you're 24, or if you're 22. But yeah,
no, I made fun of
you from 18.
Yeah.
If she's trying to say she's 22, you would,
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Subtract. You see, I'm a moron. I should be fucking Bill Maher, because I get fucking confused. Bill Maher had the trick question, and she knew he was gonna fail, but so would I.
Yeah.
My friends, if you wanna fuck Bill Maher, you have to subtract 4.
You have to be able to subtract 4.
Yeah. That's all you fucking need to do.
That's it.
Well, he still had sex with her, so.
Oh.
Money, obviously, because he paid me for the service, blah blah blah, and I had to split it with the person or give them a cut because they booked it.
Yeah.
He was like, "What person?" He was so mad. You could tell he probably wanted to cancel. Like, it was the most awkwardest experience ever. But there's so much more, but I don't want to speak on. He has a really big dick, though.
That's what I heard.
Nice.
So here's what I heard. Like him,
Like that.
David
Good for
Spade.
him.
I heard Spade's got a fucking
David
hammer
Spade's
on.
fine, yeah.
And there's guys that are just known as like, all right, cool, you got a big dick, put up with this shit. My question is this though: is you're not a prostitute?
No.
So
kind of a contradiction there relative to her behavior, but I like how the drinking bros know, the size of everyone's dick.
What is this? This format is horrible. Are they selling their own coffee back there? What is happening? It's like their special blend and shit. Is that the Texas flag on there?
I mean, probably. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, and look at his shoes.
And then they have like the bro trucker hats. I guess they're probably also peddling coffee and trucker hats.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, yeah, I mean, when they're not talking about who has the biggest dick, that's what's going on.
Yeah, that fucking wicker basket is
Stars where it's just like, hey, I want this porn star, and I think this porn star is cool. Who is he calling and who is he paying at that point?
Black girls?
Yeah, but who does Bill Maher call? Like, did you have a pimp or somebody who was just like, hey?
I literally have, it was another porn star and it was a white girl and I don't think she's fucked him, but she just is like, I think she just sets shit up for us. Because I know another black girl that went and seen him and like, she went through the same person I went through.
But how does the money exchange hands then? Does that have to go to the white girl?
No, he gave it to me.
Oh, did he? In cash?
Mm-hmm.
That's some big boy
and he
shit.
gave me extra because he was pissed.
Really?
Yeah.
What was he so pissed off about?
That I lied about my age and that I was giving someone a cut. He was very upset that I was giving someone a cut. He didn't know that.
Really? Because he thought it was some form of prostitution?
I have no idea, and I don't want to know, and I've never seen him again. I seen him one time. It was so weird. Because, first of all,
I think like it was a form of prostitution. Would you agree with that, Brian?
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like he paid for sex.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, because he thought it was some form of prostitution. I mean, I think he did.
23 right now. So
Sure.
me having a conversation with somebody like that, we were never on the same level. There's not one thing that we can talk about. It was just what? That was weird. That was like trying to put two magnets backwards together. Like,
he's close to 45 years older than you, somewhere in there. How was the sex?
Boring,
yeah. But he had a huge dick, so it's like, all right,
it just
cool.
wasn't my speed. Put it that way.
Speed.
His speed was like rabbit speed.
Oh, his was.
Or not rabbit speed. I'm rabbit speed. His was like more like sloth, like very like slow. And he wanted to kiss and make love, and he was like, "Slow down, baby." Like every time, like, I'm trying to get this shit done.
Yeah. You want to get the fuck out of there at this
Yeah.
point. Because it's just like, hey, I'm with a 60-year-old white dude who's slicking his hair back, and he's pale. That's a pale motherfucker. He's almost see-through. That guy is almost see-through. And when you're having sex with him, you're probably just like, hey, just let me get this money and get the fuck out of there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and my boyfriend was waiting, I think, outside in the Camaro parked in his garage. I don't know if he knows he was out there waiting. Because Bill put me in the guest house. So like right when you come in, it's a guest house.
Right.
And then I think
thoughts so far?
This is pretty painful. And it's one of the most brain dead conversations that I've ever seen on YouTube. Surprisingly.
Yeah.
This is surprising.
I thought it was interesting how Bill sort of showed some tenderness and
just slow down, yeah.
Yeah.
So he wants to take his time.
Yeah.
He wants to enjoy.
It's kind of an interesting dynamic because you'd think like the kind of primal need with the lady of the night, but it's like, there's also that kind of a need for something more, even when you're 100% know that she has no such need. So it's almost like, is this kind of like something like almost perverted, and like, that she's not into your tenderness, but she has to like complete the mission.
Very disturbing.
Yeah. Let's continue.
I think it's his yard and then his house.
Yeah.
I didn't get to go in that far, but I got to see his guest house.
You had to fuck him in the guest house?
Yes.
Shit. You didn't even get to fuck him in the main house?
No.
That's some slave shit.
Maybe the second time.
That is some slave shit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's fucked up, because he got in trouble for that. You know that, right?
Wait, for what?
For making a slave comment about being a house.
Oh, did he?
N-word. Yeah. But it was like, and then he's making you stay in the guest house.
I didn't stay in there. We fucked in there.
You just fucked in the guest house and you had to bounce.
Yeah.
Man, and so your boyfriend's out in the Camaro. And what does he say? Does he know you're at Bill Maher's house?
I think he knew I was there. He didn't really care. I mean, he was a porn star at the time too. I'm not dating him anymore. But he was a porn star, so he was used to taking me to do little like side gigs and shit.
Sure.
And Bill, he's not intimidated by Bill at all. So like,
No, who would be? I'm not intimidated by it.
This begins the dumbest part of this discussion. This is the one that really sticks in my memory.
Bill
No,
Maher.
I can't
No.
think of anyone on this planet that would be.
Not at all. Not
Are
at
you
all.
guys being sarcastic?
Yeah.
No,
No.
100%. Like,
he's a tiny man. I would decimate him as a human being and immediately.
yeah, Dan's killed hundreds of people in war, by the way. So, like, by me saying this, in no way, shape, or form, Dan knows where it's just like, all right, cool. If it's a guy like, let's say Zion Williamson, from Duke, or like Shaquille O'Neal, where you're just like, yo, that's a big motherfucker. Chris Webber, someone like that, where you're just like, all right, cool, that's a big fucking dude. John Jones, where you're like, all right, I'm not going against John Jones. Bill Maher, though, is the bottom of the, that guy is 2 tennis balls away from a fucking walker across the floor, where you're just like, all right, cool, Bill, have fun with all of that. But it's gig as black girls, and it always has been for.
Yeah, so, was it kind of unusual that they started, like, in a literal sense, discussing that they can kick Bill Maher's ass?
Yeah, it's a little weird. Like, and it's also kind of weird. There's a few different things going on. For me personally, I watched Ronnie McNutt kill himself on his stream. I watched him just off himself, and this is actually more painful. This is more reaffirming of the Buddha's words. That life is suffering, to me.
Mm-hmm.
But just seeing what's happening in this video
is more disturbing.
It's disturbing. It's pure suffering, and telling a woman to her face, "Hey, this guy that you fuck for money, yeah, that's pretty bottom of the barrel, in terms of kills that he could possibly obtain."
Yeah, but even they're like, we can take Bill on.
Oh, I'll fucking kill Bill Maher right now. I'll fucking flick my finger, break his fucking neck.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on this show?
Yeah, I've been to
Who
Iraq.
are these guys?
Yeah, and she said, my boyfriend is not intimidated by him, meaning like his like social status or celebrity or something. But these idiots,
is she a porn star?
I don't know. I mean, she definitely was a former one.
Oh, okay. Because she said like, oh, he was a porn star, like referring to her boyfriend. She was like, he was a porn star too.
Yeah, but basically what she said is like he's not intimidated by Bill as far as like his like, him just being a porn star and Bill being this whatever celebrity or whatever, and they're like, yeah, we're not intimidated by him either, and it's like,
yeah, exactly. It's fucking weird.
This dude has been to Iraq.
He's killed hundreds of people.
Yeah.
What the fuck is happening?
Yeah, and the other thing is, imagine like these. I mean, that guy is obviously physically strong, but imagine just like walking around the gas station and like they're just idiots like that all around us who are like physically. That's all they have.
Sure.
Yeah, and they're like, I'd kick Bill Maher's ass easily.
That's your standard, I guess. I guess you've accomplished something in your stature, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is terrible.
Right in a year.
And another thing, I was like, after we were completely done, I was like, "Are you satisfied? Are you got a black girl?" And he was like, "Who told you that I like black girls?" I was like, "They told me. That's why they sent me."
Oh.
He was pissed that I said that I assumed. He was very interesting.
Yeah, the town is known for years. So, like, we've always seen him out. He's always with a black girl. And it's always, if you look at his show, it's very...
these bros are, like, very gossipy. They're very gossipy.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this is for the people. And you're like, who the fuck are you trying to impress right now? Like, for, why? What was the overreaching theme there? You know what I'm saying? Like... so I think that's it. And like for you, shit, you've got to be his dream girl.
I don't think so. He didn't call me again.
He never called you again. Was there other girls that he did call again that you knew of?
Yes.
Were they black girls?
Yes.
Really?
And they were right after me, like 2 weeks later. That's why I was like, well, he definitely didn't like what I did.
Can I say what it is?
Who?
I think you were too light skinned.
I think so too. Because the girl that he booked after me was way darker than me.
Yes. And so every time I seen him out or like around town, it was always a darker skinned girl. So it could have been that. I don't think it was you. trust me, you were doing fine for yourself. I think it was just simply the fact that he likes darker skinned girls. That's his jam. Like if it's you versus like Lupita Nyong'o, that's his jam. Like you might be a little too light skinned for him.
I think so too.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you get back in the car after all this, what's the conversation with your boyfriend?
Well, it was not only was my boyfriend in the car, but the guy that like had. So it was a girl that booked it, but a guy had went to like supervise it to make sure he got the money. Mm-hmm. So he was in the backseat of the Camaro. He had to meet with Bill because Bill was.
It's a whole fucking board, like a corporate board, and I'm sure they each got some money out of this, like her boyfriend. Yeah. Yes, that's kind of sad, girl.
Yeah.
Pissed.
I might not be able to subtract 4 from the time I graduated high school, but I would certainly not be exploited like that, were I to sell my body, Brian.
Yeah, no, I mean, I for one, I'm generally supportive, and I think that prostitution is work just like any other kind of work. You're being exploited for your labor and your body just like any other job, and that's the way it is. So I don't look down on the position, but I am weirded out by these guys. What are they, couch bros? What is it called?
I think it's called drinking bros.
Drinking bros. Okay, so drinking bro, I was going to call them couch bros because I assumed that if they have another man on the show, that the man has to sit on the other couch, because two men on one couch, that would be gay, bro. So they can't possibly sit on the same couch.
Well, they're the kind of bros who know what everybody's dick size is. Just these average bros. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
They were just excited that they got this woman to be on their show. They're like, wow, this is a big guest for us. I can smell that room, when it goes to the wide shot.
Yeah, and this is what me and Mr. Robbins and Brian, what we talk about before the stream is different dick sizes and stuff like that. It's just like regular bro shit.
Just regular bro shit, man.
Yeah.
It's not gay. It's not gay to talk about dicks.
Well, let's savor the last few seconds of this.
Super awkward. He was pissed off. The guy was pissed off at me. He was like, why would you tell him all that? I was like, you didn't tell me I said the same thing. I had to conversate with the man before we fucked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was very awkward.
This is terrible. This is awful. There it is, drinking bros. I assume each one has a couch. That's why I'm sorry, drinking bros, if you're watching, a common mistake,
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they tune in for the discussion about Azerbaijan and Armenia. So do you think now her behavior was ethical as far as dishing on Bill and all of this?
To me, I generally, that's you keep it in the bedroom. You know what I mean? That's between two people, and it feels more of a private matter. Now, exploiting someone's labor for sex is a different, that's more of a public health concern. So that's fine. I think what she did is fine.
No, I don't agree, because if you're gonna, confidentiality is assumed, and he did nothing wrong. If she said at the beginning no tenderness, no gentle kisses, then if he started on that would be a violation of consent. But she didn't specify this as far as she indicated here. And aside from that, he also gave her extra money because she had a pimp.
Yeah. It's rough, man. It's just really triggers all those Buddhist ideas there.
Yeah.
A lot of suffering. I mean, Bill Maher too. Bill Maher also,
Yeah. I don't know. It randomly popped up in my in my timeline and whatever on YouTube. I definitely was not looking for this, but once it appeared, it made a huge imprint, and I just couldn't get it out of my head.
I mean, some people might think that somebody like Bill Maher might have just enough fame, persona to be able to pull sex without having to pay for it. But
well,
probably not.
as you know that saying about ladies of the night, you don't pay her to come, you pay her to go away at the end.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'd like to highlight something that I have brought up before already, but I'll just kind of harp on it again. And this is a kind of an apology for a person who's likely not watching this. And I really have no balls to contact him directly, but I'd like to sort of highlight my unethical behavior or something like that once again. So basically what happened is recently on a Patreon stream, I was discussing how, in a sense, I was a bad friend and somewhat of a cold person. And in the process of this, I gave an example. Now, in giving this example, I naturally started to indirectly advocate for my position, even though originally it was supposed to be about showing that I was wrong. And then it turned out that the person I was talking about was actually still a patron, thankfully at a lower level, but he was still a patron, and he unsubscribed right after this. I don't think it's a coincidence. I'm shocked that anybody watches my Patreon streams, but I guess he did, and unfortunately he heard that. So yeah, so I'd like to apologize. So the story is the following. Mr. Robbins and I decided to go to Columbus, Ohio. Columbus, Ohio is a very sentimental place for me because this is where I went to college. It was having sense of freedom and all of this stuff. So I haven't been there since 2012 or something. So when we went there, I wanted to just walk around, have my sentimental time, because I've walked around all over that city and I know it pretty well. And this gentleman was a friend of the channel, an acquaintance of mine, if you like, a friend of mine. And we decided, since he's there, I thought we'd meet up maybe. So when he came there, he was very insistent about us going to his house. And it became for me an offer that I couldn't refuse, even though I should have refused it. Because it kind of became sort of a thing of like, he said, my wife is getting ready, like she's cooking dinner or something like that, where you now have to go. Whereas like this was not discussed before. And when we came there, let's say that's the nasty thing that I said is that I had the impression that he wanted to show off his house and his kind of modern arrangements, or his like a certain type of a proper upper middle class house and family. That is what I said, and that's probably the nastiest thing. And so I want to say about this whole thing, I should have refused from the start. I should have had the balls to say, I came here to walk around. I thought we'd meet up and maybe go to a bar, but then we'd be able to walk around. Instead, it kind of took over the whole day. And then, after that, it was dark and we just went home. So that's basically the issue. I kind of reiterated that. And again, if on the off chance that he is listening, I want to say I'm sorry. When somebody provides you with food and invites you to their house, you should not then be passive aggressive about it if you didn't have the balls to say no at the start.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's understandable. It's a simple miscommunication of your plans, I guess.
Yes. Any reflections on this?
I mean, it's unfortunate. Right now, the planets, they speak to us in the energies. It's Mercury retro right now. You've got to be extra clear. in your communication. You've got, you've got to anticipate delays and things like that. And something like this, unfortunately, it bleeds over into regular life. Things sometimes you have plans and unfortunately you weren't able to say no because you knew that he was probably looking forward to it and sure, advocating for your position as you're broaching the subject is difficult.
Somebody invites you to their house, you should be somewhat grateful or at least not resentful. Sure. And I just should be less timid and I should say, hey man, I came here for nostalgia to walk around. We were just walking around the campus of OSU. We didn't even make it downtown. And so then I had some bitterness. All right, so before we completely conclude, we just have two more topics. Now, one of them is Legos. You are you're passionate about this pursuit.
Yes, Legos. I assembled many things just out of my imagination as a child with Legos. Unfortunately, lost many of the pieces in various moves that I did over the years. But my socioeconomic standing now enables me to go and buy Lego sets that I find appealing, like this one right here. This is Voltron. Mm-hmm. He's got all of the lions.
Yeah.
You can take them apart. You can display just the lions on their own, or you can assemble them into the big, almighty Voltron here.
How long did it take you to complete this?
This one was broken out into the individual lions, which would take, a couple hours in the evening whenever I had time. So it did unfortunately sit in the box for quite a while before I got to it. And then I said, well, I want to put that together. And it's nice working with the Legos and having some nostalgia and it's somewhat creative. When you're following instructions,
there's a sense of linear fulfillment, which we don't get in life.
Sure. Yeah. Once I had completed it, I set it up on my desk as a showpiece. It's nice. Unfortunately, it wobbles because my desk is cheap and it wobbles. So I had to put it back on the standing table back there. But yeah, I have other Legos, and I saw that you had a Lego set that you purchased and put together.
Yes, and, I'm about to highlight it, but you are a married man, of course, and and when your wife sees the man of the household, well, at least maybe not in these patriarchal terms, but the man,
sure, the man of the house, assembling Legos.
The man of the house. What are the reflections?
She was fine. She was fine with it. When I saw it, I got excited because I saw it before it came out. And as a child with the Voltron set in particular, I had the original toys, and there was a scare back in the 80s about the lead paint that was, I guess, that the Chinese put on the lions. And so they were very worried about that. And so they took my Voltron, my full Voltron with all the pieces and everything, and they threw it in the trash. So it was kind of a hole in my child self.
Oh, I see.
And so I was very excited when I saw the set, and I was like, well, shit, I like Legos. Well, on top of this, so like Lego and Voltron coming together is like, I got to make this happen. And she was like, well, how much is it? And I was like, it's $179. Which on a flippant purchase is still substantial, even for my my socioeconomic standing. So I was like, well, she was like, you should totally get that. And I was like, are you sure? Like, I should get it? And I put it in the wish list, on Amazon there, and kind of looked at it for a couple of days, and I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna get it. And so I did.
Yes, and it
seems
like
she's supportive.
Yeah, it seems like with this backstory and like the childhood, this is not what we call Legos. These are logos, as
logos, yeah.
Mm-hmm. These are you were putting together logos, man. Yeah,
that's right. These the childhood archetypes of things, confluence of objects coming together to form another thing, and even more so in Lego form, coming together from a mishmash of colored bricks. This
Colored
really is
yes.
it's the fulfillment, of the world, as we may say, in reference to the logos.
Yes. So of course I'm gonna highlight my one and only Lego, and
Oh, is this your only? This is your only
Yeah.
set?
this is
It's very nice.
Steamboat Willie.
I like
Um,
that it goes up and down like that.
Yeah. Of course there is this had to do with a certain pain I felt in my heart, a certain tenderness that I woke, that I guess wasn't exactly quenched by this because it just stands in the corner. Yeah, nothing has been achieved. The putting together of the Lego has been a painful process for me, really stressed me out. So yeah, I guess as far as material objects go, well, these are more than material, but recently I've acquired some beautiful statues, Buddhist statues.
That's
This is
very nice.
Yeah, this is Guru Rinpoche, a tantric master who introduced Buddhism to Tibet. And
Do you have an altar, Ivan? Do you have an altar that you put these on, or?
yeah, and these are part of this reconstituted altar that I want. My current one is a mess. This is Buddha statue, Medicine Buddha. And
is he touching the earth in that one? Is that?
well, no, he's holding like healing elixir and then making mudra, some sort of a sign. But he is touching the earth, yes.
Yeah.
And then green Tara. Unfortunately, I don't know what sign what it means, but she has chipped off parts. But this is really nice if you guys want to go to Tibetan Spirit. These are pretty affordable at $30. Pretty nice. Okay. All right. So this was perhaps maybe not exactly a fitting transition to this clip that we're going to watch right now. But nevertheless, as we have discussed, the Dharma is everywhere. And it's not just in these statues, but in this clip about incest among white people. So here, I want to just highlight that I want to highlight that this clip I'm not playing because of any kind of desire to promote racial animus or anything like that. I like this lady a lot, and I have watched almost all of her videos. She calls out white people. Sometimes she calls out coons also.
Wow.
Yeah, and she has a lot of interesting ideas. So let's check this out. Can you hear it at all, Brian?
It's very low. It's very low. I'm not sure if you can turn up your computer, your mix.
Your microphone's acting up, but there we go. Yeah, but always okay. Louder?
A little bit.
Family that I came across called the. And today we are going to be talking about this inbred family that I came across called the Whitakers. These people are completely hideous, and their house was a filthy mess. And even though I was disgusted about this story, I found myself very interested. because this is the part of white supremacy that we rarely talk about. We do make jokes about the racist hillbillies, participating in incest, but this is a very common thing they do. It's a very cultural thing they do. And they try to keep it a secret, and that's not surprising to me because in the book I'm currently reading, The Delectable Negro, they tried to keep it a secret that they ate them black dicks they cut off. It's just their culture, to do degenerate shit. Let's not forget that, they are Neanderthals, and back in the day, Neanderthals participated in incest so much to the point where they became 40% less reproductive. So this coincides with the, minus birth rate they got going on in 2020. Their reproductive organs literally shut down because they're like, I don't want to do this nasty shit anymore. You can't go against divine order. The universe does not approve of this fuckery. That's why they look like this. These motherfuckers look like the Walking Dead. As I said before, they do try to keep this degenerate behavior a secret because law enforcement didn't allow these retarded motherfuckers to get guns. Yes, I called them that because their brain development is super fucked up and they can barely talk. All they do is just sit there and yell. So they let these retarded motherfuckers get guns. Okay, so these people are not mentally stable and they do not allow curious visitors. And if you come on their land, they will shoot you. And they also have protection from the deputies in Virginia. You can't come on their shit. And that just goes to show you how the police will go against the law to protect white supremacists. Because incest is illegal. And there is no denying the fact that this is an extreme example of white supremacist culture. This concludes this video. I just want to thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you like my content, feel free to donate to my YouTube channel. My PayPal and Cash App information will be in the comments below. Anything helps, and as always, peace, love, and Black power.
All righty.
Black power.
Yeah. I love Kanisha, and I've watched so many of her videos, and there is something about her like tone of cursing that's very like 1970s or something, motherfuckers, type of a thing. And I really like her, and I like the Nation of Islam also, aside from the anti-Semitism. Just kind of say it plain. I really like her. So Brian, any reflections on this?
Is the Nation of Islam the one with the leader who's seen UFOs?
Yeah. Minister Farrakhan.
Ah, yes, Minister Farrakhan. Who could forget? How could I? I think she has a valid point that incest is it's an unfortunate part of white culture, especially in the Appalachians, Appalachian Mountains. I mean, I do know approximately 5 or 6 generations back that one branch of my family tree does narrow rather sharply because there was some incest, and it was a documented thing that this guy had married I think he married his younger sister, and I think it was a half sister, but still the family tree, normally you get the branching, but even just having the same mother narrowed that branch exceptionally, like out of the hundreds of different names. Thankfully there is no incest in my family more recently, but I do think it was a more common thing in the past, and it is something that's still practiced. I'm sure that all peoples suffer from incest. All family lines suffer from incest, and clearly it is against nature. And yeah, so I'm mostly in agreement.
Interesting, a provocative take. I didn't expect it. I haven't heard much about incest in Russia. Maybe in some remote villages, maybe. I think in remote locations. I mean, what are people gonna do? But I don't know if it would be like the precise sort of a thing of white supremacy, because I don't think those guys that she showed on the screen are the ones who are benefiting from the flow of capital.
No, definitely not. Not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably most of them are probably some level of ward of the state. I mean, let's be realistic.
Well, I mean, she did say these motherfuckers are like sitting in their compound and will shoot anybody who approaches. So that I could see as entirely plausible in America.
Yeah, I mean there are cults and communities like that that do totally exploit their members, and I'm sure that incest is much more prevalent amongst those people. I know that Mormons in like northern Arizona, many sisters are married to the same man, and they have lots of children. So
Actually, there was like when Israel was started, there was that socialist idea of the kibbutz, like a collective farm. And the one thing that they have observed is children who were not related to each other, who grew up together, then were not interested in becoming romantic partners, hardly ever. And so the hypothesis there was that some evolutionary mechanism kicked in. Even if you grew up with a hot honey, if you grew up from a very small age around her, then at some level she would be perceived as your sister or something, and maybe this is how humans would then go to another tribe or some shit to find find mates. But there are a couple ideas like about white people, the origin story, sort of created. Well, this is the Nation of Islam, created by a sinister scientist, a sinister black scientist. White people were by breeding albino black people. So that's one idea. Kind of a big thing is with the Neanderthals, the recessive gene that if black person and a white person have a baby, they're gonna present themselves as predominantly black in their appearance. So these are the ideas, and I kind of like them all. I'm always interested.
I mean, being a white devil, it's hard. It's hard work,
It's a grind. All right, my friends. Well, every stream, myself and Brian or Mr. Robbins or whoever, we try to uplift the spirit, uplift something, to reach for something, and to have something unusual. So thank you for watching, and have a good day.